Welcome to Mindless Entertainment. My name is Jesse Milestone, and we got to talk about the Oscars. I didn't watch them. I don't really care about that stuff unless I'm nominated for something, which I'm not. So I don't really care, but I am interested in, I followed the winners, I checked out all the winners, and I am interested in the crazy amount of backlash happening regarding Green Book. Because you're talking about an academy that's been lambasted over and over again for its racism, and in recent years has certainly demonstrated certain elements to the contrary, like Moonlight winning Best Picture, which is a phenomenal film in case you haven't seen it. As well as Denzel Washington won Best Actor for Fences last year, yeah, didn't he? Or Fences was at least nominated for a bunch of things. So obviously some changes being made. And this year, the movie that won Best Picture was a movie about race. Mahershala Ali, a black man, by the way, won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. But the movie, the champion of wokeness this year, Black Panther, didn't win. Therefore, racist. The movie, this is how it works now, apparently, because as we know, identity politics is all about quantity of diversity, not quality. So the movie with the most number of black leads didn't win, therefore, racism. And this, to me, I'm looking and I'm reading all the criticisms of Green Book, and this, to me, just goes to show you how far off the deep end the current progressive narrative regarding diversity is, and race and all that, how far off the deep end it is that it rejects works that 5 years ago would have been lauded as masterpieces in that regard. It rejects those works for not being woke enough. It's so batshit and anti-intellectual that I can barely stomach it. So I'm reading these things, right, and the part, you already know BS right away, because if you read about the movie, you'll find some criticisms that say that the Don Shirley character is, he's the stereotype of the magical Negro, which is kind of like the Mary Sue for black men, where he's just sort of a supporting character who's fun and is just good at things and swoops in to help you out when you need to and doesn't really have an arc of his own or any flaws or any depth or realism to his character. And then you have other people saying pretty much the exact opposite, which is that this is another white savior movie where we're just watching the white guy come to the aid of the black man and helping him out all the time. So which is it, people? Is Don Shirley a flawless, perfect character with no substance or depth? Or is he the flawed, real character, but it's just a shame that we paint Tony Lip as the white savior in this film? You gotta pick one. You don't get it both ways. So that right there is just ridiculous. And I mean, it baffles me. It baffles me how people can watch this movie and be like, there's no depth or growth to Don Shirley. He's not a rich, meaning character. What? Were we watching the same movie? And then you have Justin Chang, a critic writing for the LA Times, just ripping this movie to shreds and talking about how terrible it is, the white savior thing, and the narrative this, and the lack of depth in Don Shirley. It's all told through Tony Lip's perspective, and there's no, change or arc or whatever for him, and we can't relate. We're so removed from Don Shirley. He's so other. Everything about him is made to be other and otherness, and we're supposed to, all be sympathetic to Tony all the time in spite of his flaws, and I'm just like, How could you be further from the truth? But I guess, you know what? Since Justin Chang is Asian, and therefore more diverse than me, what do I guess he's just the god of understanding how to portray black people in cinema, and I don't get to have a say, because I'm white. I am not as black as he is, apparently. I guess Asian is the new black. Good job, Justin Chang. You got it. You understand the black experience in this country so much better than any of the rest of us, who are also not black, ever will. I'm not going to claim that I understand that experience, and I'm not going to, but I don't think that Justin Chang has any greater right to claim that he does either. Now, what I do understand is the experience of being an other. I do understand that. Oh, what does a white woman who grew up in a good family know about that? Whole effing lot, thank you very much. All right, because otherness is not defined. Guess what? Otherness is not always defined by your gender or your skin color or your sexual orientation. Otherness takes many forms. People are alienated and ostracized for many different reasons. I went to a school that was basically Mean Girls. I was ostracized for having short hair and wearing black and not wearing makeup. And I was just as ostracized and just as shat upon and treated just as poorly. And guess what? I didn't even have the small, tiny comfort of having a support group of other people like me, because there weren't other people like me. So when I watch a movie like Green Book, sure, Tony's the fun character. He's the cool guy that we think is funny and we want to be his buddy. But I related hard to Don Shirley, to that character and the portrayal of that character. I related to that because I saw myself in that. Oh my God, how could you see yourself in that? He's a black man. You can only look up to other white women. Shut up. I related so hard to the experience of feeling like a stranger in your own skin, of feeling like you didn't fit in the way you were. I mean, I've always been tall for my age, right? For my age. When I was when I was younger, I was tall for my age. So I was bigger, you know? I've got muscles, I've got shape, I've got curves, and I would have these friends that I would hang out with that were these tiny, petite, little delicate women, and I felt so awkward and clunky around them and just garish, sometimes mannish. So when that part, I'm gonna cry now just thinking about it, because this line, I saw the movie twice and got me so hard both times. When he's out in the rain and he says, Don Shirley's character just turns on Tony and he says, if I'm not black enough and I'm not white enough and I'm not man enough, then what am I? And I fucking related to that line so hard. That, as you can see, hit me right in the fifis. So that, I don't know what this Justin Chang guy is talking about, that were removed and isolated and made to feel other by from the Don Shirley character. I hurt with him. That was my experience watching the movie, was hurting with him at every turn. It wasn't, even though we're watching the movie more through Tony's eyes, I didn't feel the movie through his soul. I felt the movie through Don Shirley. And maybe Justin Chang is just emotionally closed off. Maybe the people who chose to see it that way were just not emotionally available because they went into the movie with preconceived notions because it was written by a white man. Oh my God, how could a white man ever write about a black experience? Which, by the way, guess what? Unless you want to eliminate all white male writers from Hollywood, you can't have it both ways on that front either. Because either you're going to have men sometimes writing diverse casts that include women and black people, or you could not have any people other than white men in the movie, because apparently white men can't relate to the experiences of anybody else and therefore aren't allowed to write about them. The lunacy and the hypocrisy here is beyond me. And the final point, and this is what really gets me, Justin Chang says about the anti-intellectual. How could you not see that this is written as the white savior through his eyes, and how it's actually racist to try to balance it, you know, like, oh, well, Don Shirley's flawed too, so their flaws kind of balance each other out, you know, but the racism flaw is obviously the biggest flaw, so we're somehow forgiving Tony's racism for you know, because of this. Well, as opposed to understanding what this journey actually is, which is, first of all, no one's supposed to forgive the racism on Tony's part. That is his major, huge character flaw. We're supposed to like him better at the end than the beginning, specifically because he has learned to be more tolerant. Specifically because in a time and place where certain prejudices were still very acceptable, he was opened up to an experience outside of his own and learned to be more tolerant. Is that not the correct narrative? Wanting a white man stuck in old prejudices to have his eyes open to the experience of somebody else and become more sympathetic to it? Is that not the goal? Or have we gone straight past that and the goal is just to eliminate all white men from existence? Is that where we're at now? No, we don't want to change them. No, we don't want them to improve. No, we don't want to see them grow. We just want to stab them all to death and watch them bleed in the streets and die. That's what we want. That's the only possible solution. This is what I mean by this narrative has gone off the fucking rails. Right, so the issue is here is this is the thing that people miss. I talked about this when I discussed Green Book for Geeks and Gamers weeks and weeks and weeks ago. And how wonderful it is as a not woke film that honestly can discuss race relations is because it was so honest as a film. That's the whole point. That's the whole thing. It's not this perfect utopian world where we're gonna write this film talking about the way we want things to be. It's looking at the way things fucking were. This is an honest movie, and he even takes umbrage to that, where he's like, oh, the fact that it was like, let's do this harsh depiction of what the South was like in the 60s is somehow bad or wrong or immoral. No, it's the way it is. That's the point. This is not utopia. This is not the fixed, modern version of the world where everyone gets along and holds hands. This is how it was. And people who were considered, whatever woke was back then, weren't nearly as progressive as people are now. That's just how it fucking was. And so the thing that he misses entirely is that this is not a discussion of two people where, oh, we're trying to add flaws to Don Shirley to make Tony's racism seem a little more better. We're talking about the difference in privilege, right? Because you have two characters. This is not one is somehow, superior to the other. This is not a movie about how, oh, because Tony's white, he has all of the privilege in the world, and Don Shirley has nothing in spite of being all talented and whatnot. This is absolutely not that, because Don Shirley has so much privilege in this film. He has wealthy privilege shooting out his asshole. Wealthy privilege all over the place. Tony has none of that, and you see that depicted as well. You see how Tony is lacking in that wealthy privilege, how there are things he doesn't have, like eloquence, like the ability to express himself to his wife on paper, like the ability to hobnob with wealthy socialites. Like, and the irony of this film is that there are scenes where in the racist South, Don Shirley is more accepted or has an easier time getting along with these racist fucks than Tony does. And then there are moments where that reverses, and that's where you're highlighting the white privilege element of things, right? But a lot of this movie is also highlighting wealthy privilege and that relationship. And I thought that was a beautiful way to approach this discussion, so it wasn't, one person's, let's balance the flaws and meet out the flaws. This was a discussion about how privilege affects different people in different ways and how we can all learn from each other. How even if Tony starts out as a racist piece of shit, that there are things you can, that person's not just someone who should be written, and this is the problem, right? I just nailed it on the head right there, right? Tony starts out as a racist person, therefore he should be an irredeemable character that we should hate and have him die by the end of the movie. And the fact that we allow him to grow and change is what's wrong, because we don't believe in growth and change anymore. That's not progressive. Growing and changing is not progressive. You gotta be born woke, because if you weren't born woke, then whatever, writes you out of the history books, just roll over and die. And it's so beyond batshit that I don't understand. The way Justin sits there and writes, like, how could people be so blind as to not see these things? How could you be so goddamn blind? How could you be so narrow fucking minded as to not even want to consider? You literally, in the nicest words you could possibly use, wrote off everybody who enjoyed the film as racist. What is wrong with you? How are you this ignorant? How are you this close-minded into feeling that there's only one way to talk about race? There's only one way to depict it in film. This was a good goddamn movie. It was a well-written, well-acted, beautifully told story that 100% deserved Best Picture. And obviously, yeah, we have all these other films we like and whatnot. Black Panther, I'm sorry, anyone who says Black Panther deserved big Best Picture can shove it up your ass. It was a good movie for a superhero movie. It was not Best Picture caliber. There were good performances. There was some good action. This is not the kind of film that, I mean, I'm not mad that it was nominated. Nah, I'm kind of mad that it was nominated. I don't think it deserved it. I don't think, of all of the great films that have come out in the action and superhero genre, I don't think this was the best. Therefore, why did it get nominated for Best Picture even at all? Oh, because it was about black people. Like, is that what you want? Is that what progressivism is? Hand you this thing, right? You this film that's in the same caliber as many, many other films of your genre, you're gonna get this accolade specifically and only because the cast is mostly black. Is that what we want? Is that actually promoting progressivism? And is that progress at all? Or is that just trying in your weird backwards way to somehow level a playing field when that's not even how you do it? Leveling a playing field means creating equal opportunities, not creating equal successes and awards and accolades because we want to somehow virtue signal the fact that we're all good progressive people. I mean, it just... Anyway, go see Green Book because it makes SJWs cry, basically, is the bottom line. And if you haven't seen it, you should see it because it's a touching, moving story about two wonderful people that learn and grow with each other, and I've cried. So screw you all. Screw everyone. Screw anyone who wants to act like this movie is somehow racist. It just boggles my mind. All right, so that's it. If you like this video, there's a button for that. Press that like button, share this, comment on it. All of your interactions with it help my channel out so much. So if you want to see it grow, please do that. If you like this channel and you want to invest anything else into it, time, energy, whatever, click get involved with me. That will take you as a nice little video with all of my links, my business mailing address, my business email address, all of my social media, t-shirts, Patreon, and all of different ways to get involved with and support this channel. So please go ahead and do that. And we'll talk again real soon. Bye-bye.